Good evening. This is Kilo Charlie Niner Uniform Delta X-Ray. My name is Matt, and I welcome you to the 2 a.m. net. The purpose of this net is to promote the use of amplitude modulation and also to establish this part of this band as a place for AM activity in this area. Everyone is invited to listen. Licensed amateurs who can do so legally are encouraged to check in. We listen in the AM mode and transmit in the AM mode where possible. If you cannot transmit in AM, we encourage you to listen in AM and transmit in FM. If you are transmitting in FM, please adjust your transmit frequency a couple kCs above or below from our receive frequency. This facilitates the use of slope detection, that is, demodulating your FM signal with our AM receivers. When checking in, please announce your call sign and standard phonetics. Excuse me. Again, this is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I will now begin accepting check-ins. Any stations wishing to check in, please come now. Well, hearing none so far, do we have any check-ins for the 2 a.m. net? Come now, please. Alright, let me try this again. I believe my receiver was out of tune just a little bit, so if anybody is trying to check in, please try again.
I don't know, did you get me? Whiskey Bravo 9, Bravo Whiskey Papa. And just before you came on and said receiver out of tune, that was the first time I heard you. So, anyway, WB9BWP.
Alright, that's interesting. Thank you, Dave. No, I did not get you before, but I will recognize you now. Thank you for checking in, Dave. Recognizing WB9BWP. And I was trying to use the VFO to see if I could resolve the other issue I've been having here. I'm thinking maybe the crystal is dying. And I don't know exactly what happened, but I seem to have been transmitting the whole time, so I don't know. We'll see. Do we have any more check-ins? Come now, please. Alright, hearing none, it may just be you and I, Dave. And maybe we'll get some more in a little while here. We may have a large audience at some point here on YouTube. I am not exactly sure what happened, but the algorithm has done something. My subscriber number has doubled since last month, which is a little shocking. As of now, there's only one person watching this video, but that may pick up. Excuse me. And I guess I'll try one more time here since we're still going early. See if we have any more check-ins. Come now, please. Well, hearing none, I'll go straight to you, Dave. WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Wow, not used to being first in any net value. Hold back. Thinking that, hey, I'll let other people talk first and then I'll have something to say based on that. Well, I always announce it on the Mosey net, which is on Monday nights. And I say, possibly, probably, maybe on YouTube also. So who knows, maybe that accounts for some of it. I don't know. we're getting a fairly good number of check-ins this fall. They've got a couple more students licensed, and they've even been running the net, which hasn't always been the case. So who knows? Maybe that's some of it. And no LBRY net should be going on right now, so obviously not any of those guys. Over here, I guess I don't have anything real special to say. Radio-wise, I didn't do any operating since CQ Worldwide a couple of weeks ago. This weekend is ARL sweepstakes phone portion, so I'll give that a shot probably Sunday. It starts Saturday afternoon, maybe Saturday night. I'll see what 40 and 80 look like. I was outside yesterday fiddling with one of my, what I'll call experimental antennas, and as always, when I'm trying to make it just a little bit better, I screw something up and I broke the rope that holds it up. So I may have cut it too, I'm not sure. And it was stuck in a tree branch. Couldn't get out there today, had a previously scheduled appointment, so I'll be back out tomorrow and see what I can mess up there. So I guess that's good for the first round. I'll send it back to you. This is WP9 BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. And my frequency may be drifting because I see my power output rising slowly. That's what I was hoping to avoid. We'll see. Maybe I'll switch to the VFO again in a little while here. Excuse me. Unfortunately, this problem will not repeat unless I'm doing this net. So it's very hard to diagnose. But fine business. I know what you mean. Try to make it a little bit better and everything goes wrong. That's my experience too. The ARRL sweepstakes this weekend, I'll have to let Lorelei know. Maybe pique her interest again. She is adamant that she cannot pass the general exam, which is kind of irritating to me. She won't put in the effort because she believes she can't do it. And I don't quite understand that, but I think we have a MRAC meeting this weekend, too. And I don't know if they're doing a fox hunt again. If they're doing that, I'll probably be participating. I have fixed up our fox hunt antennas a little bit better. I made better connections at the feed point. Excuse me. I got a nasty cough this week, so I'll be worse than normal in that respect, unfortunately. And let's see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please.
This is N9CXK. Carol in East Troy. Hi, Matt. Hi, everybody.
All right, recognizing Carol, N9CXK. Thank you for checking in. Do we have anybody else? All right, hearing none. I'm going to tell a story before I hand it back to you, Carol. Just an account of what I did on Sunday. You know, 2 weeks ago we went for a hike just under 5 miles in the Kettle Moraine South Forest. And it took me 3 days to recover. That's how out of shape I am. Well, this most recent Sunday here, we did it again. We went a little further. 5.6 miles in an hour 39 minutes. Average speed 3.3 miles per hour. 9 miles per hour maximum. And for all those people that are always telling me that this area is flat, you know, nobody's watching the video right now, but maybe they'll watch it in the future here. We went 1,936 feet uphill and 1,951 feet downhill by GPS. Don't know how accurate that is, but it can't be all that far off. Usually I think that's within about 50 feet or so. But I did not have any recovery time at all. I was not sore at all this time, which is a very good thing. Kind of surprising though. But that's my story for this month, and I guess I'll turn it over to you, Carol, N9CXK from KC9UDX.
KC9UDX and the net, N9CXK. Wow, thanks, Matt. Good story. Yeah, I have had those occasions too where I hadn't done a certain activity for a while, and then you hit it a little harder than you probably should the first time, and it comes back to bite you. Oh, look at that. I'm off frequency. Hang on. There we go. I don't think on most of the radios here it would matter anyways, but it's bothering me, that's all. So that's good. Yeah, I would say that the GPS is very accurate in that regard, and your uphill and downhill distances sound pretty darn good. I've pretty much routinely been getting my 10,000 steps this route working around the house here, and so that keeps me fairly busy here. And boy, oh boy, seems to me that we should have been seeing the northern lights here, but I think every night that it was quite active, it was quite cloudy here. Guess that's our curse. I don't know. I looked at the Hepburn tropospheric charts this afternoon, and they showed a high activity tropospheric ducting up and down Lake Michigan, right up and down the middle. So I've been listening on 2 meters, but I haven't heard anything unusual really. I thought it might overlap to the shore a little bit and we'd get some ducting across the lake or up and down the lake would be even more fun, but I haven't heard anything. It looked like the upper Great Lakes, and then it was really strong right up and down the middle of Lake Michigan. But it didn't do anything for me. Maybe if you were out there in your boat, you could be hearing the Coast Guard and the other ships all the way up and down the lake probably. What else is going on? And I have been listening to the MSOE net, and I think that the new guys do such an excellent job of running the net and keeping track of everybody and keeping track of the stories. I think they're really doing a great job, and they seem to be having a really good time. So that's really positive. Yeah, I try to listen to those nets. Funny thing is, I always listen for the 10-meter net, and I've never heard anybody yet on the 10-meter net for MSOE. I'm on the other two 10-meter nets. I hear lots of people, but I don't ever hear anybody from MSOE. Oh, I see I have another 2-meter radio on here. Ooh. But I don't seem to be bothering it too much, so that's good. Oh, I don't know. Don't have much else to talk about. Yeah, everything of mine is out of the water down here. There's some guys coming tomorrow to pick up the leaves. I've been doing my job picking up the leaves, but I can't do all this. And they're going to come with 3 or 4 guys and charge me a lot of money and clean up the yard, so I'm happy about that. I'm ready to get the fish out of the pond. Just haven't quite done it yet. I got to go. Probably tomorrow night I'll snag them with the net and get them down in the basement into the stock tank. So, guess that's enough for right now. Hope everybody's enjoying the weather. N9CXK, over.
Excuse me. Hey, thank you, Carol. Of course, right when I go to talk, I got to start coughing. Anyway, yeah, I wouldn't wait too much longer with those fish. You never know at this time of year what can happen. although it doesn't look like it's going to get real cold anytime soon. And yeah, I have the exact same experience with the northern lights. It's always cloudy. There was one night last week, I think, that we should have been able to see them, and it was not cloudy, and I saw absolutely nothing. There were reports of much lower latitude, being able to see them, and not here. I don't remember which day that was, though. But anytime there's something to look for in the sky, it's cloudy here. Pretty much always. It's pretty rare if it isn't. And I have never heard the MSOE never heard the MSOE net. And I have not been on the 10 meter net in a very long time, and every weekend, usually on Saturday night, I realize, hey, I could have I could have got on the net on 10 meters last night. I always forget all about it, so maybe I have to put that on my calendar. Which reminds me, I need to start preparing for next year's calendar for this net. And I did not notice that you were off frequency, did not notice any change when you changed frequency. But on this radio, I don't notice those things. It's very, very wideband receive. And what else was I going to comment on? Oh, the 2 meter receiver. The other radio you've got. I did burn out a receiver doing that. I've got a disc cone antenna that is probably 15 feet away from my big stick for 2 meters here, although it is quite a bit lower. And I did forget to unplug the one radio one night when I was running the net here, and I did burn out that radio. Now, that was back when I was transmitting with a lot more power, too. That wasn't the usual 7 watts. I have a 160 watt amplifier, which is tricky to use because it's, I think, 10 watts maximum in, and of course this is 7 watts AM out. So I actually have to detune the output on this radio to put a clean signal into that amplifier. This is why, that's reason number one why I don't use it, because it's kind of sketchy doing that. The other reason is it does noticeably affect the receive signal strength, having that in the loop. I don't know if it's a defect or what, but that's the way that is. Anyway, I suppose I should see if we have any more check-ins. Anybody who wants to check into the 2 a.m. net, come now, please.
This is Kilo Niner, Quebec.
Got one more, recognizing KS9Q. Thank you, Jim, for checking in. Do we have anybody else? Not hearing anybody, but there's a strange background noise today. I'll turn it over to you, Jim, KS9Q from KC9UDX.
So just out of curiosity, Matt, is it like a high-pitched whine?
It was earlier, but it is not now. Now it's kind of a low-pitched... Oh, I'm trying to think of the digital mode that it sounds like, but I can't think of what it is. It's a lower, really choppy kind of sound.
Well, I would estimate I'm getting a tone on your signal that I'd estimate somewhere between 4 and 5 kilohertz, and it's just kind of coming along for the ride. The modulation's pretty good. No problem copying you at all. But just went out with Sue to grab a couple of
listening tonight, so I just wanted to jump in and say hello to everybody. I think I'm probably going to be a one and done, since Sue and I were kind of having a little date time out in the living room, just watching some TV, and so things are going pretty well around here. I was trying to do some antenna work over the weekend, and I was just getting ready to put a LBRY antenna, and I thought, yeah, before I put cables in place, I'd better test it. And I tested it, and it was just completely off. It was not even close. And I said to myself, we need to work with this a little bit and try and get it ironed out before we put out anything permanent. So hopefully the decent weather will hold out for a few more days. And if time permits over the weekend, it'd be nice to get out there and get that taken care of. Other than that, not too much to add. So I will throw it back to you there, Matt. And I'm just curious which radio you're on tonight. This is KS9Q. Back to that.
All right, thank you, Jim. And I'm on the Gonset Communicator 4. And you can tell me now if that sound has gone away. I turned off the VFO. That might actually be interfering.
Yep, that it has gone away completely. It's very clean. KS9Q.
All right, thank you. And yeah, I don't. The weather looks pretty good here the next couple days, but I wouldn't bet on anything for the weekend. And I don't remember if you said. I think you did say you were going to check out after this one, but I guess I'll turn it back to you in case you have anything else, and then you'll let me know if this is your last one. KS9Q, KC9UDX.
Okay, very good, Matt. Yep, I'm going to bow out a little early just to spend a little time with Sue and chat a little bit, eat some ice cream, watch a little TV, and I am tired today. I don't know why, but I was about 2/3 of the way through the day, and I was just beat. I made a coffee and chocolate milk mix, and that I think has enough caffeine in me to keep me fairly alert. But it was just weird. But I don't know, maybe I just didn't get enough sleep last night. Anyway, we'll say something brief and turn it back to Matt. This is KS9Q.
All right, thank you, Jim. We'll say 7-3 to you, and maybe you'll have some more time next month. We'll see. I have the opposite effect with caffeine. If I don't drink coffee, but if I did and I had a bunch of caffeine, I would be falling asleep on the spot. I don't know why that happens, but it does. We are at the bottom of the list. Do we have any more check-ins? Come now, please. All right, hearing none. The background noise is now gone. Now, I'm not saying that it's something even on this frequency. As I was explaining before, the receiver on this thing is wide open, so it could be anywhere nearby. And I guess I've got one more story here. I don't remember if I mentioned this last month because I don't remember when this actually happened. I've got here in front of me 2 N batteries and 1 A23 battery. Now the batteries in my HP28C calculator went dead. So I went upstairs and I grabbed some new batteries. It takes 3 N batteries, and I, for some reason, had 1 by itself and 2 in a package. So I had exactly the right batteries I needed, and I put them in, and the calculator was acting very strange. Then I noticed it was getting very hot. So maybe I have a battery backwards. I pulled them out, checked, no, they're not backwards, put them back in. Calculator is acting very strange and then turns off and will not turn back on. Batteries are very, very hot again. So I pull out the batteries and I do a better inspection and find out that one of my N batteries was an A23. Now N batteries are 1.5 volts and A23 batteries are, I believe they're 12 volts. This one does not say on it, but I think they're 12 volts. And so I thought for sure I destroyed that now, excuse me, now very valuable calculator. But I don't know how they did it. You know, that thing was made almost 30, if not fully 30 years ago now. And it survived that, no problem. I put 3 proper N batteries in it and it just works. So, very surprising. And with that, we'll go back to the top of the list. Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Well, just in case Jim is still listening, I actually hear him better when he checks in on this net than usually I would hear him when I'm on that 10-meter net. And I wasn't there last week. And good evening, Jim, and good evening, Carol. And I might have one N battery, because I used to have an HP 28. Nowadays I've got a ladder model 35 and I think it's a 38. I don't remember for sure the model number. A few years ago, Best Buy had a really, really great price on that right before Christmas. And I could get a kit for free besides that. I mean, it was like $40 or something. And instead of the regular $200 that I was going for. And I said, yeah, I'll buy one. And on your hiking story, the last couple of years I've been going for progressively longer walks in the area here. And I think I do, 2 to 3 miles a day, somewhere in there. Started with doctor saying you should do this based on some work I had done a few years ago. We have a treadmill here too that uses in bad weather and winters and stuff. But in the summer, whenever the weather allows, after living here for 30 plus years, I'm actually know more of the streets now around here. That's kind of sad, but oh well. And the noise, I don't know if it's frequent noise, but I'll say the noise level is higher tonight at this location. But everybody overrides it just fine. But there have been months where it was very quiet, and it's definitely not that way tonight. And as far as seeing any aurora, I did once, many years ago, like I want to say 1999 maybe. It was like January, February, somewhere in there. I had to take the garbage out, and that's my radio timer. I had to take the garbage out on Sunday night for Monday pickup, and it was a clear night, and it was like it was right overhead. That was the one and only time that I've actually ever seen that live. And since the radio timer said I've talked for at least 3 minutes here, that's probably a good time for me to stop. So, I will. This is WB9BWP. Back to the net.
All right, thank you, Dave. And I don't remember exactly what year it was. 1999 is probably right. Otherwise, I would say 97 or 98. But I certainly remember that night. I think it was a Tuesday night. I was at work, and I just happened to open up the door and look outside, which I normally didn't do. And I had no expectation of being able to see northern lights or any reason to be looking out the door. I just decided to look out the door for some reason. And even with the lights in the parking lot, the sky was completely lit up green stripes. all the way from the north to south. They were going in a line like that, all parallel lines. I'll never forget that. But I've seen it a number of other times. Nothing like that though. That was pretty spectacular. And I would also say the noise level is up tonight. And I agree, it hasn't always been that way. But then again, before it got quiet for a long time, there was a lot of noise for a long time too. So I don't know what we'll see. When the solar cycle starts going downhill, if the noise will come back or what. We have a treadmill here. I don't get on it as much as I used to. One of the reasons why I'm terribly out of shape. But I'm very grateful for this weather, so I can get back in shape before skiing comes around. Not that I'm out there skiing and hurt myself or get to the point where I can't walk the next day. I think we've talked about that HP calculator. I have the same one. It's that 35S or whatever they call it. One of the most disappointing purchases that I ever made. One of many features that I like about traditional HP calculators is that you don't have to look at them. You can tell by feel when the numbers are being registered. The switches are incredibly accurate and repetitive. And that new one is absolutely not like that. You always have to be looking at that display to make sure that the number that you pushed not only registered but did not register twice, which is very, very irritating to me. And second of all, it only worked for me for I think a week or two, and then if I recall, I took the batteries out and put it back in, and then it worked for another week or something like that, and that was the end of it. But just recently, I don't know when, a couple months ago now probably, I pulled it out of my toolbox and decided what the heck, I'll try it again, and I got some new batteries. I put them in there and it works. It's been working ever since, which is very strange. And I guess with that we'll go to Carol N9CXK from KC9UDX.
Well, sure enough. I guess the group is fairly small tonight. I didn't really know. But yeah, I'm HP calculators. I guess I always had Texas Instruments, and even in engineering school, I didn't use it that much. I used it a lot, but not enough to be wearing anything out. I know there was an SR40, and then there was a comparable TI something. Boy, I don't know. These days I use my phone most of the time, or the calculator in the computer, in the laptop, so that's good. Although the computer and the phone don't have sine and cosine and tangents and all that, so I need to do some real power calculations. You have to go find something, I guess. So I'm trying to remember when that very strong Northern Light display was. I thought that was in the like 2010 or in the middle to late 2000s. I don't know. It was in the evening. People were out walking their dogs and things. It was probably like 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and the sky. We actually saw the blues and the oranges. Blues and oranges. Yeah, that's it. It looks like my power goes down when I talk. Well, I haven't peeked out this radio, so I guess that's just the way it is. So that was an extremely strong display, and people still talk about that one. Yeah, the later ones that I've seen over the years are usually the faint green ribbons up there kind of flickering on and off, and not real strong. But a lot of times when people are seeing those displays, they are right down on the horizon. And even at my new house here, I can look across the lake, but I can't see down to the horizon. There's a lot of trees, and the hills kind of rise up around. And I don't see the horizon, and I think that's where a lot of them see those displays. And some of them use some time-lapse photography and things to bring out the colors. Oh, I can't compete. I would just like to see them a few more times before I'm gone. It would be really cool. But the pictures you can see online are certainly wonderful, especially the people in Scandinavia. They're the ones that really get the displays. So another thing, if you had just lots of money and lots of time, it'd be nice to take one of those aurora watching expeditions, like a cruise, but you go to Alaska and they take you out at night where you freeze to death and you see the northern lights. I think that would be fun. And of our 2-meter noise, I don't seem to have any. The S meter drops down to 0 every time. But I'm going to turn on the sideband radio when we're done here and just keep listening. And I too have a 160 watt amplifier, but the one that I have is like a 50 watt in, 160 out. So I can use it with my IC820 that puts out about 40-45 watts. So that kind of matches up, and chances of causing any damage there are pretty slim. So now I have to get brave enough to use it. I've only used it just a little bit, but one of the winters here, I'll be inside all the time and then be able to use that. So the radio's still transmitting. That's good. How about that? And then it goes off. So turn it back over to you, Matt. KC9UDX, N9CXK.
All right, thank you, Carol. As my power output slowly rises because my frequency is changing. It's got to be the crystal. I don't know what else could be causing that. I don't hear the noise anymore either. There was quite a bit before the net, though. And my power goes down when I talk too. I don't quite understand that, but that's the way every power meter I've used on these radios does, on AM. I don't know. And that there was a Northern Lights display later than the one that Dave and I are referring to, and I don't know when exactly that was. I missed that one, but I do remember people talking about it. The thing I remember around that time must have been 2008 or so. I saw a meteor, or whatever you call it. This thing was as big as, probably about half as big as the moon. It was that big. And it broke into pieces, and it was leaving smoke trails, and it was almost, it was so vivid, it was like you could reach out and grab the thing. That's how big and amazing it was. And it left a big streak in the sky. And my wife and I were walking the dog, and I just happened to look up and see that. And by the time I could process it and tell her what I just saw, there wasn't anything to see anymore. So it was too dark to see the smoke. And I guess when you see these pictures online of Northern Lights, in my opinion, any camera is going to make that look better than what it is in real life. I would expect. But I'm not much of a camera expert either. We are at the bottom of the very short now list. Do we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net? Come now, please. Alright, hearing none. Well, I'll tell you what, I never understand YouTube. There's been months where, for reasons I don't understand, 1,000 people are watching this net while we're doing it live. I forget, I think it was October last year that happened. And I thought for sure with the channel exploding like it is that at least a handful of people will be watching this, but there's only been one person watching at any given time. Not that I care, but it's just I don't understand. And I don't know how much longer I can keep talking here. But we'll keep going until I can't. We'll go back to the top of the list. Dave WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. And looking at the screen here and the spotting portion of the logging software. The Union Island is on 20 meters high. There's going to be a small expedition there. Not saying we can hear it over here, but nonetheless, it's out there. And I forgot that because it's been a basement calculator for many years, I have an HP 11. That's from their horizontal period. Boy, that goes back to maybe mid-80s when, because my job bought that for me at the time, because the TI that I had finally died after a number of years. And this thing I actually took apart once because I spilled some water in it. And I opened it up, dried it out, put it back together, and it works fine. It doesn't necessarily sit perfectly flat anymore because the circuit board is held in by this plastic posts that are like melted in place. And so I couldn't get that quite right. But that thing is still going. And yeah, you can put that next to the newer one. You can definitely feel it, a difference with the switches. Yes. Well, today, the HPs are kind of an oddity, I guess, to most young people. Some years ago, stand by just a moment. Some years ago, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I happened to be checking around, looking at see if there was a website for the grade school that I went to. It was the public school in Milwaukee. And I found a list on there where they tell you, this is the stuff you're supposed to buy for your kids before they come to school. And in 4th grade, they were already saying, you need to buy them this TI scientific calculator. I forget the model number, but I was thinking about that, and I'm like, really? 4th grade, you're going to have them use a calculator? They're never going to be able to make change. Anyway, I don't know. I guess that's my good enough for this round. That's what happens with a small net, I guess. So I'll just send it back. This is WB9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. My dad had a HP 11. I'm guessing that he probably still has it. Uses that for everything. There was something about that one that I did not excuse me, did not like. I prefer the 41. I've got a bunch of them. But really, what I always wish they would do, I have a bunch of HP 32s also. 32S, 32S2, I got a couple of each model. I wish they would have made a 32S2 with the capabilities of the 41. but that's too much to ask. I do use all the peripherals on the 41, and I do all kinds of crazy programming on it. And you can do almost as good programming on the 32, but the 32 has a whole bunch of other really nice features. A lot of stuff built in that you would have to buy expansion cards for the 41, but also things you can't even buy, like base conversion. It does hexadecimal and binary and octal to decimal very, very well. That's the only reason I use the 28, because it can do that, but the 32 does a way better job. And the 32 also does fractions, and they did a really, really good job on how it works. I'm so mad that I didn't buy a whole bunch of those back when you could buy them for $30 at Target. The only reason I have multiples is I had one of them fall in a machine I was running. I used to run Syncer EDM machines. And if you can imagine, these machines were a big tank full of oil, and in the bottom of the oil was powderized steel that was like fine sand. And my calculator fell in one of those tanks one time, and I had to fish it out, and of course it was all full of that very fine steel powder mixed with heavy oil. And I immediately rinsed it as well as I could, but then I put it in my toolbox thinking I would never do anything with it. And I think 2 weeks later I got ambitious, and it was assembled with those plastic posts like you're talking about. So I had to cut it apart. But I cut it apart and washed out the inside of it, and then it was like brand new, except for the fact that it was all scratched up and it doesn't quite go back together right anymore. Otherwise, everything worked on it. But in the meantime, I bought a couple more of them in case it ever happened again, because I didn't think I'd recover that one. And I did see the end coming of them selling those, so I bought a couple of them. Wish I would have got a dozen of them. And I'll tell you what, I think, I don't know what year they start, but it's much younger than that where they require those calculators in school, and half the time they don't even use them. It's just a requirement by the school district, and I'm almost positive that TI, lobbies to make that a requirement. And I think it's a real shame. They only learn how to use that one specific calculator, and like you said, they don't know how to make change. Simple things like that. And next we'll go to Carol, N9CXK from KC9UDX.
Wow, KC9UDX and 9CXK. Recovered a calculator. Oh man, I would have tossed that one. But buying multiple copies, I don't know. Never had any fascination with those. Used them. I still have a couple in my briefcase tool bag here, but I don't know. Don't need them too much. Most of what I need to do now is I do it in my head. I can do it all in my head. I don't have to punch keys, but it's not complex either. So, excellent. Yeah, the Northern Lights, they often report them much further south than us, and I don't see anybody reporting them in like southeast Wisconsin. They'll report them down to the middle of Wisconsin, and they'll be in Illinois and Iowa, but we don't see them. I think we just have a copious cloud cover a lot of the time. So yeah, I did one thing before winter. I had a couple of little metal sidearms, and I put a sidearm on the bottom of one of the tripods I have on the roof, and I was able to put another multi-band vertical on there, 2 meters 440, and I think it's 6 meters, that one is. And I got that up on, so now it's up over the peak of the roof, and it works like a dream. Not as good as the antenna I'm on now, but pretty close, actually. So that's nice to have a couple of VHF antennas up there high. I turned on my TR9130 while you guys were talking. So I was on upper sideband, and I tuned you in with the preamp on the amplifier, and my horizontal loops, stacked loops. And now, Matt, you're just a little stronger than Dave here. When I went to the horizontal antennas, Dave was much stronger than you were, Matt. I cannot account for that, but he was much stronger on the horizontal. So he must have some kind of a horizontal component to the antenna he's using there. Just interesting. That's all. And yeah, I don't have a lot of things to add here either. I think I can wrap this up for myself. I got lots of things going on, and I want to attend to a couple things before I fall asleep. But sure do appreciate you running this net. It's a lot of fun. It's as much fun as I have on any of the other nets, just by virtue of what we're doing here. So I'm kind of liking that, and I'd as soon be here than on a lot of the other nets. Yeah, KS9Q was very nice and loud and clear here too, Dave. And most of the time I have trouble hearing him on the 10-meter net. But I'm out here late. Often he's mobile. So that makes a big difference. Tonight he was on the space station. I'm sure he sounds good. So I got to learn, like I said, I was going to learn a little more about the West Side Radio Club. I think that would be more my speed than joining the Milwaukee Club. I don't think I'd be attending meetings or anything in the Milwaukee Club. So, something to think about anyways. KC9UDX and the net, and 9CXK. I guess I'm just about finished here, Matt.
All right. Well, I'm running out of ability to talk, so I'll see what Dave has to say. We may just do a 7-3 round. But I'm glad you like the net. That's exactly why I started this net, and that's why we do it. And excuse me. My antenna is very vertical. It's a collinear 5/8 wave. When we first when I first got people together and started talking about doing this net, nobody could really answer whether it made sense to go horizontal on AM or just stay vertical. And after polling a lot of people and coming up with no answer, I made the decision that since almost everybody on 2 meters has a vertical antenna already, even the people that do sideband probably have a vertical antenna for FM, that we should go vertical, so that's what I did. I always had ideas about putting up a beam that I could turn from horizontal to vertical, and I don't know if I'll ever do that or not. Every year I say I'll do it next year. And I guess I don't use calculators that work like I used to. I do use mine that work once in a while. But I guess most of the time I just use the HP41 emulator on my phone, which, by the way, is really, that emulator is really, really nice. It's worth every penny that you have to pay for it. I don't remember how much it is. It's not terrible, but you know, everybody's used to getting those apps for free, and it was not. But I do use them a lot at home still, especially the hexadecimal to decimal conversions. I just can't memorize most of the 4-digit ones. I can memorize most of the 2-digit ones, not the 4-digit ones. Anyway, I'll see if we have any last-minute check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. Hearing none, we'll go back to the top of the list, and I'll call it the 7-3 round, but talk as long as you like. WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. Well, I got my antenna story here. Yeah, I've got a 17-foot stick that sits on top of a 32 or so foot mast. And so that's what I'm running now. I do have one M-squared loop for 2 and one for 440. They actually sit right below that 2-meter stick. And I can't hear anybody on that if I switch over to it. Actually, I did not do it for Mac, so I guess I can't say. A couple of years ago on the Friday night MREC 2-meter net, a guy from Rockford checked in. Conditions were really good that night. And he asked if there was anybody who could do sideband. And I couldn't, one of the other guys could. And so after the net, we were talking with that guy. And the other guy up here locally, he lives about 5 miles away from me. He only had a vertical antenna on 2, and we're on sideband now. And if I switched to the roof, I could not hear him at all. I could only hear him on the vertical. But the guy down in Rockford, he was, I don't remember if he was vertical or horizontal, but I could use either antenna, vertical or horizontal, and I could hear him just fine. So it mattered, I guess, how close and how far away they were. And I've got an old Radio Shack, FM broadcast, Yagi, that's not being used, and I read an article of a guy who converted one of those to 2 meters, and I got a straight TV rotor and another 32-foot mast that's already up outside. And for a couple of years now, I've been saying, I'm going to convert that antenna over, give me like 5 elements on 2, and yeah, it's still sitting here in the basement. So I'm going to go over the breath on that one. And stand by just a moment. I'll make a tiny plug from Milwaukee Club. Yes, Matt's meeting is Saturday, and Matt's a member and I'm a member. It is the oldest club in Wisconsin and surrounding states. There's a couple older in other parts of the country, but we are the longest affiliated, ARL affiliated club. Nobody else beats that one. And we got a whole bunch of history, which nowadays is out on the Internet Archive, on archive.org. Search for Milwaukee Radio Amateurs Club. Besides YouTube, we're on YouTube also. There's a 15-minute video that we made for the 100th anniversary a few years ago, and there's a few recorded meetings up there. I've got a bunch of slideshow type videos of club photos. There's multiples of field day and members and all sorts of things. There's like a dozen different videos there. amount to almost 5 hours worth. But they're almost all silent, and I've hesitated to put them up, and I should just do that, and as I work on them, I can always replace them, I guess. 73 to those of us that are still here, and anybody listening, watching, listening, whatever it is, anywhere. This is WB9BWP. And yes, I also, if I didn't say it already, it's great that you do this, Matt. And even though AM is old mode, it's almost like this, we're doing something new here. Anyway, 73. This is WB9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. And I guess the oldest ARRL affiliated is something nobody can dispute. I know there was a lot of contentious debate about whether or not we were the oldest continuously operating, and I still think that's true. But but you're right, the ARRL affiliation cannot be disputed. And I just hope that archive.org sticks around. I know that there was talk of that going away. I hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, I will say 7-3 to you, Dave, and of course I think you are the most frequent check-in, most reliable check-in we've ever had here on this net. Frank, I thought Frank was number 1, W9JCC. But Dave, I've looked it up, and you've been here a lot more and a lot longer than he has. I just guess I didn't realize that, but my memory is terrible, so I apologize. And with that, next we'll go to N9CXK from KC9UDX on the 7-3 round.
N9CXK, okay. Well, I will do my best to catch up, being one of the long checker inners. After I found out about the net, I checked in, and I think I've only missed about 1 month since I started, but it hasn't been real long. But I'm getting better at remembering this net than a lot of others, so that's positive. And I think it was out of necessity and utility that you choose vertical polarization for the net. You're right. You'll get a lot more takers with using a vertical setup because everybody has them. Yep, and it's easier. A lot of guys have all mode radios, but they don't have horizontal antennas. And I've been fighting with the horizontal antennas here to make sure they work and keep them up in the air and all that. Now I have them in really, really good shape. And I do check in on Wednesday nights with the guy up in Stevens Point. There's a statewide Wisconsin 2-meter sideband net on Wednesday nights, right at 8 o'clock like everything else. And then on Thursday nights, it's the Chicago group gets on. And supposedly there's a group on Friday night in Ohio or between Chicago and Ohio, but I've never heard them. So there is some activity, not a lot. I'm really curious if you've ever heard anything on 432 sideband. I bought one of those little PAR antennas, a little triangular one for UHF. It's almost a joke. It's got a great big little Ballon box on it, and then the elements are so teeny. I just don't even know how it would work. I had it up for a little while, and I decided to claim that space in that coax or something else. I just thought this is silly. I need to put it up, I guess, and combine it with a 2-meter antenna, and then I could use one feed line. Make that a permanent setup. But I'm not doing that either. And, like you said, don't bet on this project getting finished. So I understand that one completely. I have a lot of aluminum around here, that's for sure. Put pieces and parts together. and try to make other things. So, very enjoyable, Matt. Thanks again. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. My week has been shaping up to be really busy. But then I have all next week off, so that'll be quite pleasant. It'll prime me. Every time I go on vacation like that now, I think, oh, this is sort of what retirement would be like. Well, I have to think about that probably in 6 or 7 months here coming up. I probably will be retiring. I don't want to, but I'm getting a lot of heat, so I probably should do it and then have time to do some things I'd really like to do. So keep a good thought. The weather will hold out for another 2 days, I think. And then it's still going to be 50, in the 40s to 50. Sure won't be terrible for November. You can still get a lot done. I was kind of curious about Jim's long wire. He said he put his long wire up, but it wasn't working right, and he was going to change the length of it. I said, a long wire is a long wire. It's whatever you got, and you string it up, and you just match that. I don't know. Well, unless he's trying to make a tuned long wire, like a end-fed half-wave or something, but a long wire shouldn't matter what length it is. It should work. It'll work somewhere. But he's got some time to do that too. KC9UDX and WB9BWP and 9CXK. 73 guys. Have a good one.
All right, thank you, Carol. And I guess that's what I always call a long wire too. But I do know that other people call that a random wire. And a long wire, technically a long wire should always be tuned. Otherwise it's a random wire. I don't know. I still call it a long wire, I guess. Anyway, I'm having a really hard time talking, so I will say 7-3 to both you guys. And of course, this concludes the 2 a.m. net. Feel free to reg chew on this frequency after my transmission. We will meet again on, oh boy, I can't read it from here. Hang on. It's the 12th of December. Excuse me. Until then, this is KC9UDX 7-3 and good night.